Well, good morning. Mid-November is approaching, and that means those who pursue the elusive whitetail are getting anxious for opening day of the firearms season, which is coming up this Thursday. Good luck to all the hunters. Our conversation this morning, though, is not about deer hunting, but about jobs and the efforts that are being made to encourage entrepreneurs to develop their ideas. It starts right now.
From TV6, this is The Ryan Report. Here's your host, Don Ryan.
You know, as we look across the landscape of the Upper Peninsula, business and industry, a majority of the companies are either tied to the natural resources of the region, or they are companies that were created by a local entrepreneur and grew and expanded here. There are many economic development leaders who agree that a key to future job growth is encouraging new entrepreneurs to develop their products and ideas, and there are several organizations dedicated to that effort. One of those is the Innovate Marquette Smart Zone. Ray Johnson came to Marquette as the CEO of that organization about 3 years ago, and he is joining us this morning to provide an update on how that effort is progressing. Ray, welcome back to the Ryan Report.
Thanks, Don. It's good to be here.
And I said about 3 years ago, but you're actually starting your fourth year.
We're starting year number 4, and
Okay.
it's been a great effort so far, and a very encouraging signs of our entrepreneurial ecosystem, and a very supportive local community and UP-wide community.
Let's make sure people understand, first of all, what Innovate Marquette Smart Zone is. It was actually established by the city of Marquette, wasn't it?
It was in partnership with an existing smart zone in Houghton, which had been in operation for, at that point, almost 13 years. Actually, there are 23 smart zones in the state of Michigan. The first one was in Ann Arbor, and since that time, they've started these other smart zones, and Marquette being a recent one.
And you mentioned the MTech zone, and they've been very successful.
They have been very successful, and they have a very rich environment for technology startups and research in partnership with the Michigan Tech University.
And you kind of bring a lot to this effort in that you've been an entrepreneur, you've managed business startups, you've been a teacher. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. You know, my background really started in technology, where I spent my first 10 years of my career at Honeywell. And then from there, we came up with an idea of a tech-based startup. We launched that business in Minneapolis. We raised significant money to launch it. It was in the semiconductor business. We sold that business to a silicon-based chip company, and I ran it as a division of that group. So my experience is in running and starting technology businesses that come from fundamental research that was either done in a lab in a university or in a small working environment within a company. And my experience, you know, comes in locations that were very rich for entrepreneurial startups and ecosystems. Austin, Texas, Silicon Valley, and then most recently in Boulder, Colorado. And my interest and excitement about Marquette is that it reminds me of Boulder 20 years ago.
Okay.
And that's pretty exciting opportunity here for our community in the startup world.
So, and it is important, isn't it, to create that, what you call ecosystem, but really a system where people feel comfortable doing these things.
That's right. It's not only that, it's providing the resources, the expertise, and the connections for anybody who has an idea, whether it be a small business, a tech-based business, a product idea, or an invention, to be able to come to a place, whether it be the Smart Zone or Invented NMU, which we'll talk about in a little bit, a place to go where their ideas are evaluated and vetted and supported.
Let's talk right now about Invented NMU. First of all, tell us what it is.
Invented NMU was started about 4 years ago through the university. It's a program that takes a product idea that an inventor or innovator has and actually helps them take it from an idea on the back of a napkin all the way to commercial launch. And it's the engine is provided by a group of students that are full-time students that work part-time that actually do the work in partnership with the inventor.
The Smart Zone itself is financed through City of Marquette taxes and some support from the state, I believe.
That's correct.
And of course, Invented NMU is supported by NMU.
It was supported by NMU, and you know, hats off to the administration and Dr. Erickson for seeing such an economic development opportunity to support the community and provide students with experiential learning opportunities, was able to fund the first 2 or 3 years of that, Most recently, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, who saw the program and said this is truly a great program that should be statewide, and they've provided some recent funding to just do that.
Now, you and others saw almost immediately the wisdom of working together, is that right?
That's right. We had started, when I first came to Marquette and we started the Smart Zone and I was introduced to the Invented NMU program, I said, this is a perfect front end where you can bring any idea, and whether it be high tech, low tech, or no tech, there's a place to go. So we encourage all ideas to come forward. In our view, our motto is all ideas are worth exploring. And so we have an opportunity, if you walk in the door, to be able to help you, whether it be a tech company that can be expanded and scaled, or a single product idea that can be brought to market. Either way, we can help.
You mentioned this grant from the MEDC, and
Yeah.
part of that was to facilitate this partnership too.
It
wasn't
was. It was part of that was to facilitate our partnership to be able to have the funding that allows the Smart Zone now under the grant to help manage the Invented NMU program and also expand the footprint of offerings from beyond Marquette and Marquette County to other parts of the UP. All of those small communities in the UP are looking for economic development models that help, that support entrepreneurs, that support small business, and support inventors. And we have a program that we're launching here and have launched over the last few months to be able to bring these services to other parts of the UP.
Okay, we'll talk more about that and more about other things after we take a break. Back with more on the Ryan Report just 2 minutes from now. Our guest this morning again is Ray Johnson, who is the CEO of Innovate Marquette Smart Zone and also involved with the invent@nmu.com. We were talking about invent@nmu.com and the fact you're working together. You know, the word synergy is tossed around a lot, but this really is a case where synergies work, don't they? You get a lot from, well, the Smart Zone gets a lot from Invent@NMU and vice versa.
Right. You know, the beautiful thing about the partnership that we have is it becomes, and we've created, a one-stop shop. And as I had mentioned in the earlier, that it doesn't matter what your idea is. It's a small business idea, it's a high-tech business idea, it's a no-tech idea. There's a place to go, and we can help you, and we have a team of people, primarily our students, who are standing by to be able to help vet your idea. If it has legs in the marketplace, we have a capability to bring it forward, to help do design sketches and product development models, 3D modeling, and even marketing and website planning as well. And so all of those services are available at a very affordable rate for entrepreneurs just starting their companies.
As I understand, speaking of that, you'll take a quick look without any charge, is that right? And then it kind of gets into
That's right.
costs.
That's right. That's right. The first meeting is always free. You know, we do what we call a quick explore, where you submit your idea, whether you come in physically in our location or you submit it online, that we'll take a look at it. We'll have our team do some exploration and be able to very quickly, in 3 business days, as we promise, to send you back, here's what we found, that the idea, either there's a lot of competition and you should refine your value proposition, or, you know, look, this might have legs and this might have an opportunity. Come in and let's talk about how we can help you do the next thing that needs to be done.
And you know, I don't know if you said there are no bad ideas, but something to that effect. but just having an idea is not enough today, is it?
Not today. What we believe is that all ideas are worth exploring. That's the important part. And what we find is, if you look at entrepreneurship and startups and new businesses and new ideas, there are a couple reasons why ideas and businesses are successful or fail. And I think the number one reason a business might fail is that they haven't really looked at the market and been able to articulate a value proposition that says, look, there's a demand for my idea. And we help really facilitate that and explore that. And once you've figured out that there is a demand for that idea, then the next step is, how do I get it to market? What are the steps to take it to market? And how can I do it as fast as possible with as little investment as possible? That's really what the importance of our program does.
Yeah, you know, if you come up with an idea for a gizmo that that's great, but
Yeah.
only 18 people want it. You're
Yeah.
probably not going to get to
Yeah,
it.
you're barking up the wrong tree.
Unless you can sell them for $1 million a piece.
There you go. That's a possibility too.
But you know, I was thinking about that because I was talking to someone who has been going through this process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if even the manufacturing, you know, if you can manufacture 100, it might cost you $100 a piece. But if you could manufacture 1 million, maybe it costs $10 a
That's
piece.
right.
And you know, you have to go through all those calculations to figure out if things are
Yeah,
going to
and
work.
that's what we call scaling. Is this technology, is this idea scalable? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe the entrepreneur and the inventor just wants to do it on nights and weekends and doesn't want to create a big business out of it, and that's okay too. We have many clients that are not going to quit their day job, but do this, moonlighting. We call it now a side hustle. And so we have often ideas that come and people do it on weekends and nights, and they're able to create some additional income for their families and be able to use that income in ways that they haven't been able to do in the past.
One of the interesting things I noted in looking at some of your statistics is, even though you're on the college campus, most of these ideas are coming from the community, aren't they?
That's right, and and we continue to see that. I would say a good portion, maybe 80% of our ideas are community members. There are ideas that come out of students. We do have some faculty members that have brought ideas through, but you're right, it's community members. And it's not just Marquette and Marquette County. We've had other people reach out to us from other parts of the UP, and we think that there's a demand for the services that we provide in other parts of the UP and the state.
And apart from the idea of creating jobs and ideas, this really provides some benefit for those students too, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The true definition of experiential learning is actually working on a project that an entrepreneur or an inventor is going to take to market and to create a business out of it. And they learn everything from incorporating the business to the financial aspects of the return on investment, to the cost, and to the launch of a product, the go-to-market strategy, and all the things wrapped around that. And actually launching a product and then supporting it once it's been launched. And our students do all those pieces.
And I understand this looks pretty good on their resume too, doesn't it?
It's awesome, and we've had 6 generations of students through that program, and I believe we're probably at a 90%, 95% placement in an area, in a job that they were interested in doing.
How many of these ideas, I know you reported recently over 400 ideas. How many go to the next step?
Well, so in the 4 years that the program has been in operation, there have been 400 ideas through that Quick Explore piece of it. And of those, typically we see about half of them continue forward. And so you have, roughly 200, I think the number is about 217, that have taken another step. And then of those, we cut it down back to another half that continue forward. And so that's a typical progression of invention and entrepreneurial startups. So we've been able to meet those metrics. And the other part of it is, we've launched 12 products with our entrepreneurs, and we've launched about 7 or 8 different businesses when you combine the Smart Zone and Invented at MU together. And these are businesses that will create, more jobs and create economic development for our community. And that's the critical piece.
Okay, we'll talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. Back with more on the Ryan Report after we take this break. Again, we're talking with Ray Johnson, who is the CEO of Innovate Marquette Smart Zone. These organizations, the Smart Zone and Invent at NMU, have grown so close together. Are there still some distinctions between the two?
There is, and I think the biggest distinction is, if you think about it, the Smart Zone is really established to help create tech-based businesses and tech-based innovation. And that can come from individual inventors and innovators, but also, through the university. And, we've looked at partnerships and relationships with research going on and faculty members doing research in the at Northern Michigan University, and we also have inventors that have approached us as well with mobile apps and sensor-based technologies and the Internet of Things solutions. And so we have 4 or 5 companies that we're already supporting that will probably launch here in the next year or 2, and that's what it takes. It takes time. From inception to launch for a technology company can be 2, 3, 4 years before they launch and start generating revenue. The Invent model is really about a physical product and a small business, where it's a single product that might be as a simple idea that then can be taken to market and commercialized.
Okay. The one of the interesting things now is, and we touched on it a little, but for example, you've now established a kiosk in Gogebic County. Tell us about
Well,
that.
the whole idea behind that was that, one of the things that the Michigan Economic Development Corporation saw in the partnership between the Smart Zone and the Invented NMU program was that this was a model. The Invented NMU model could be exported to other communities and other areas. And so we took it on as a strategy to figure out a way to be able to get other communities to have access to these resources. And there's a couple different ways to do it. You could create a brick and mortar location like Invented NMU we have in Marquette, and you could do it in Iron Mountain or Ironwood or other places in the UP. What we found was, because of the cost and the investment required to start, we felt the beginning part was to create a kiosk, which was really a portal into our services that could be put in a location anywhere in the UP. And we've been able to partner initially with the folks in Ironwood and Gogebic County, with the Gogebic Community College, the city of Bessemer, Ironwood, and Wakefield to do the first one. So we've created a kiosk that will be placed in different locations. Right now it's at the community college, and any community member can go up to that kiosk, learn about the services, and actually submit their idea online right there. And our team back in Marquette will start to work with them.
And I know that you're working with in the Keweenaw. You're going to have a grand opening kind of a celebration.
We are.
Coming up this week?
We launched that in October. A lot of the UP city managers have heard about it, and they said, we want one of those in our community as well. Calumet stood up and said, we'd like one too, and so we're going to launch next week, Tuesday, in the village of Calumet, our second kiosk, and that will be at the Keweenaw Coffee Shop. That's where the location will be. And you can envision that patrons to the coffee shop or community members, students, whether they're high school or college, can go in and submit an idea, and we'll work on it. And we're talking to other communities to do the same thing.
I've been interested in economic development for a long time, and I made the statement earlier in the show about how many companies that we see that are major employers today that really started this way.
That's right. And economic development is done a lot of different ways. We're looking at it from the entrepreneurial, one entrepreneur at a time, one inventor, one innovator at a time. We know in the last 25 years that 90% of the new jobs that have been created in the private sector are created by companies that are less than 5 years old. And so we know that our challenge and our objective is to create and support innovators and inventors and entrepreneurs to start those companies. They will be the job growth. The other thing is to support existing companies as well, because 80% of the new jobs that are created in the community from that standpoint come from existing companies. And so on both of those fronts, we look to support the inventor and the entrepreneur and the small business.
Okay, thanks for the update. Appreciate it very much.
Glad to be here.
I'll be back with some other thoughts for you in just a couple of minutes. Well, you've most likely heard it. I did the other day when I was walking through a store. Over the speakers came the strains of Santa Claus is coming to town. And I thought, really? Is he coming early this year? It's not even Thanksgiving yet. Yes, it's time again for that annual debate. When should stores start featuring Christmas displays? When should we start hearing Christmas music? Let's start with the first one, since that debate was apparently decided years ago. There was a time when we didn't see a lot in the stores until after Thanksgiving, but that custom has long since passed. If we're lucky, they hold off until Halloween, but even that's not true with many retailers today. And then, of course, there's Black Friday. The day after Thanksgiving has become the holy grail for Christmas shoppers, as merchants offer their extra special buys. It's a tradition that brings shoppers out in the middle of the night to chase the elusive bargains. But even that tradition has begun to be eroded. Now many of them, especially the big box retailers, start hawking their Christmas wares on the internet before Black Friday even comes around. People used to ask if the real meaning of Christmas has been lost with the focus on Santa Claus, Christmas decorations, and the hysteria that goes with shopping and gift giving. I don't think the meaning of Christmas had been lost for those who look for it. Our churches do a good job of reminding us that the day is there to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. But there is no question the secular side of Christmas has taken on a life of its own. I don't want my comments this morning to have you thinking I'm a Christmas curmudgeon, or worse yet, a Scrooge. I enjoy celebrating Christmas. I love the services that churches provide, but I also like the other side of the holiday as well. I like Christmas music, from the traditional carols to the songs about Santa Claus and Christmas trees. I guess the songs I like best have been around since before I was a kid. There have been a few new songs, but for me, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer just doesn't measure up to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Here Comes Santa Claus. I also like Christmas movies, but again, you know, my favorites tend to have been around for a long time. Movies like White Christmas or Holiday Inn, as opposed to more recent flicks like Office Christmas Party or Bad Santa. The truth is, for me, one of the best parts of the Christmas holiday has always been the kids, the little kids, watching the excitement on their faces when they see the Christmas tree surrounded by gifts, or when they proudly perform in the school and church Christmas programs. Those are very special times. Well, this started out as a discussion about the question, does Christmas come too early at our favorite stores? I guess it's a question we each must decide for ourselves. But the fact is, despite the hype and hysteria, Christmas is about celebrating a birthday. And birthdays only come one day a year again. This is the year Christmas will arrive on December 25th. And I'll be looking forward to that. I'll be back in a minute. Before we wrap it up for this week, I want to remind you that there are other options for watching this show. You can check them out at uppermichigansource.com. Thanks to Ray Johnson for joining us this morning for an update on what's happening with the Innovate Marquette Smart Zone, an important economic tool for economic development for the region. And thank you for joining us. Let's make a date to get together again next Sunday morning.